Robby Naish, born in 1963 in California, USA. Profession, windsurfer. When Robby was 5 years old, the Naish family moved to Kailua on the Hawaiian island Oahu. At the age of 13, he started collecting world championships, and he hasn't quit yet.
Hi there.
The most all-round windsurfer of the world seems unbeatable as he travels around the globe from race to race collecting first prizes. Robby Naish is a very unobtrusive, modest guy who would never boast about his achievements.
Born at the right time in the right place with the right parents, raised in the right place, started windsurfing at the right time, got involved with the right companies, so I had the right equipment. There were a lot of good moves through my career, a lot of them through luck, a lot of them through pretty good planning, which was also luck, because you can never tell what's going to happen.
Most people step in their car or on a bus when they go to work in the morning. But Robby Naish takes his board and sail to the beach, which is just a block away. Windsurfing really is his everyday life.
Something I've been involved with since I was 11 years old. So my whole life has kind of been structured and grown around windsurfing. It's the way I make my living. It's the way I have my fun. At least 80% of my time is spent windsurfing. And then aside from that, I've got my family, I've got my home, I've got my cars, that sort of thing. But the majority of my time and 100% of my living is windsurfing or involved with windsurfing.
Kailua is one of the world's most famous windsurfing spots. This perfect training ground is practically in Robby Naish's own backyard. So whenever conditions are good, Naish just has to rig up in his garden and sail away into the Hawaiian surf. For Robby Naish, training and having fun are one and the same thing. Therefore, when he's in the water, it takes a lot to get him back ashore again. He can stay out there for hours and hours. One of the few people who can persuade Naish to come ashore is his little daughter Nani, waiting on the beach. The world's first professional windsurfer got married at the age of 18. So besides his windsurfing career, he has a responsibility as a father too, and he loves it.
Nice dress. Only a couple minutes, 5 minutes, okay? And then I'll come up. Okay, just down here, 5 minutes.
Nevertheless, Naish goes out on the water for another 5 minutes. He seems to be addicted to windsurfing, as he just can't get enough of it, being out there.
It's not something you could explain, like, describe like it feels like something else. It's a good feeling. After a long day, like a couple of days ago, you sail 6 hours a day in good conditions, and you feel real good. You feel good physically, you feel good mentally, you feel sore. It feels really good to be worn out, like you really did something and you're tired. And that doesn't happen often enough. Usually I can't sail enough. I'll go out for 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and either the conditions weren't good or I didn't have time to sail more. So it really feels good to go out and just get completely worn out. No energy left.
Not many other sportsmen say this after more than 10 years of performing at the highest possible level and actually having seen it all. Besides being a father and a windsurfer, Naish is also a businessman. Together with his parents, he has a company called Naish Hawaii. So the story of Robby Naish is really also the story of the Naish family.
I'm really close to my parents. I think a lot closer than most people are. We're like friends. My mom runs the business. My father and I work together for Mistral and for Gastra. And the whole family is really involved in the sport, and we're still really close personally too.
Many of Naish's surfboards are built by his father Rick, who's therefore pretty much responsible too for Robby's enormous success.
Why is that simply not enough the other ones being sold?
Rick Naish brought his family to Hawaii in the 60s because he was a surfer himself, but he never expected that his son would one day be a professional windsurfer.
Well, I mean, it was obvious at the beginning that he was, you know, after he'd been at it 6 months, he was a pretty good windsurfer. But there, I mean, the sport was pretty much nothing, at least here at that time. So it wasn't logical to have any grand expectations. I mean, nobody was making any money at windsurfing in 1980. Even the people making the boards weren't making any money.
In 1976, 13-year-old Robby won his first world championship.
You know, the sport has changed so much in the 10, 11 years that I've been competing in it. It's not even similar now to what we were doing then. I'm not even similar. I look at pictures of me when I was 13 years old and I laugh because it's so long ago. You know? I've changed really a lot since then. And it's kept it exciting. Definitely not boring.
Windsurfing is a fast-growing and fast-changing sport.
In every way. Competitively, equipment, professionalism, number of people doing it, level to which we're competing, type of competition, really everything.
And of course, Naish also changed a lot himself. From the little windsurfing kid, he gradually changed into a long-haired windsurfing teenager. Slowly, he became more and more professional as his fame and that of windsurfing grew and spread around the world. Naish escaped from gravity as he amazed the world with the first big jumps. Naish had become the world's most spectacular windsurfer, and a professional career was on the cards.
Before I became professional, there weren't any professionals. You know, our sport was so young. And after I graduated from high school is when I decided that I would take a year off before I went to university and see what I could do with windsurfing.
Robby's career had an incredible takeoff as he starred in various promotional films for his sponsors, and spectacular photographs of Naish in action were published all over the world.
Travel, race, see if I could make a little money, go professional. And I haven't gone back to college yet or university. You know, it's just grown since then.
In 1983, many of the world's sailboard manufacturers got together to organize a worldwide regatta circuit for professionals. A new type of racing was introduced, the so-called funboard races. Of course, Robby Naish was a very important factor in the attraction of these races, drawing thousands of spectators to the beach of Scheveningen in the Netherlands, where the finals were held. In 3 different disciplines, the pros had to fight very hard for the overall world championship. The first discipline is called course racing. This type of racing is most similar to the original triangular course regattas. Robby Naish, therefore, had no trouble because his experience as a world champion was still worth a lot in this discipline. Here on the North Sea, in front of Scheveningen, Naish ruled like a king as he won the course race way ahead of everybody else. The photographers get ready for another discipline, the wave performance. Here the surfers have to give a performance of their capability in the surf. Their high jumps, wave riding and various freestyle tricks are judged by a jury. The third discipline is the slalom. Here speed is the name of the game. The surfers have to sail around a figure-8 course in the surf. Here Robby Naish takes off in his own way like a rocket. In this first World Cup season, Naish also won the slalom discipline, thus winning the overall World Championship for professionals very convincingly. By winning all 3 disciplines, Naish showed his incredible class. The gap between him and the rest was awesome. What a way to start a professional career. After each World Cup season, Naish goes back home to Hawaii. The islands are an all-round tourist mecca. People from around the world arrive on Hawaii for those sun-filled vacations.
Now that we are one, clouds won't hide the
Hawaii's surf is legendary. It belongs to the finest, biggest, and most consistent in the world. On Hawaii, good surfers are real celebrities, but in windsurfing, the world champion is almost unknown.
It's nice to be able to come back to the States and relax and not have everybody know who you are. Or the people that do don't really care. Like in Hawaii, I've gotten to the point where a lot of people know who I am now, but it's no big deal. It's sort of a different mentality here. There are a lot of famous people running around, and it's no big deal. And plus, what I do is usually out of Hawaii. You know, they read about I'm doing stuff in Europe and so on, and it doesn't really affect their lives. They don't follow windsurfing. It's not like I'm a football player or something. That would be different. They don't really understand what's involved in what I do. They just know that I'm good at it, and so they can respect me, but that's as far as it goes. It's nice. I can come home and be a nobody and be quiet, and it makes life easier.
He's got no shortage of fan mail, though. Answering all those letters is almost a complete job by itself.
My mom helps when I'm gone for a long time. She does the ones where they just want a photo or something. And they usually just want stickers, or pictures, or information on what kind of board they should buy, or when is a good time to come to Hawaii, that kind of thing. So that's what I do.
Naish's garage is filled up with windsurfing equipment. It's almost a miracle he manages to squeeze in his cars, too.
I can wash the car. car?
Tires.
Give me the tires.
Most people don't very much like to wash their car, but for Naish it's a very relaxing activity, and he does it at least once a week. And having to lead such an extraordinary life, very common things like gardening mean a lot to Naish. But there always comes a day when he must say goodbye to paradise and fly away for some regatta or promotional tour. Altogether, Naish is away from home 9 months out of every year. As the sport grows, the crowds grow, and Naish's fame grows even more. He won the 1984 World Cup, and in 1985 in the Netherlands, he was in the lead again.
Excuse me.
In Europe, he's so famous that he's got trouble getting to the water with his board because everybody wants to have a glimpse of this Hawaiian windsurf wonder. Another thing that's growing fast by now is the competition. 1985 was the year of the run on Naish.
Obviously, it's becoming more and more difficult all the time to do well. The possibilities, for example, of winning every event are almost none nowadays because there's too many people that are specialized in each discipline and do very well. But overall, I have a fairly decent chance, me and 10 other guys or so. But it depends. There's so many good people here that this luck is really important. I've had pretty good luck. I've had very good equipment by Mistral and Gastra and my father for the past few years. I've lived in Hawaii, which is a perfect place to train. So just the whole situation for me has been very good. But a good equipment advantage and training advantage is a big part of it.
Naish takes windsurfing very, very seriously. He's always concentrated, always fights like a lion to get the lead. He's never intimidated. An all-round professional sportsman who leaves nothing to chance. Therefore, Naish is always early on the beach to prepare his equipment, working on even the smallest detail.
Because it makes sense to try and get warmed up, test sails, test equipment, get out before it gets crowded. Just to be prepared.
The press is very interested in Naish's equipment, which is so extensive that getting it from one place to the other is a major undertaking.
I've got 3 slalom boards with me of varying designs for different conditions. I've got 2 race boards, also for varying conditions. I've got 3 wave boards for everything from really light wind to really strong wind and good waves. Different masts for racing and for waves, a complete set of wave sails, a complete set of racing sails, a complete set of tools and lines and epoxies and things like that. Multiple wetsuits of varying degrees for really cold water, really warm water, different harnesses, lots of booms and universals and lines so that we can have at least 3 or 4 or 5 different sails rigged at the same time without having to change material from one to another. That's about it. Really a lot of stuff when it all gets put in one place and you have to bring it to an airport, for example. They are quite shocked. This is just one person's stuff, and if you're traveling with a team of, say, 6 guys that all have similar amounts of material, it's quite amazing that they even fit it on an airplane.
The 1985 World Cup season saw a decisive narrowing of the gap between Naish and the rest. In Holland, Naish maintained the lead on the annual ranking list and captured the public's fascination.
Mangez le bigoudet, véritable bigoudet. Qui n'a pas mangé mes bigouds?
Unfortunately, not every World Cup event is blessed with a lot of wind. For example, the 1985 finals were held in a calm La Torche, France. Normally, this west point of Brittany is swept by Atlantic gales in autumn. But nothing is as unpredictable as the weather. Naish spectacularly saved the show by participating in a daring stunt. He water skied behind a helicopter. No wind in France. Since the La Torche event didn't add to further results, the 1985 ranking list wasn't adjusted after the Netherlands.
Really, I'm happy that I won the overall, but I would have liked to have done a little better in course racing and wave riding. But it's the way it goes. We didn't really have much racing, much chance to do anything. Wasn't really any room for error. And unfortunately, I had a couple of bad days. And those are the only days we sailed.
But you're still world champion again.
Overall, yeah, I'm happy about that.
Although he was beaten in all 3 disciplines, Naish still ended his 3rd World Cup season as overall world champion of the professionals. Time to pack the stuff and go back home. Which, of course, means checking in at airports. And oh, all that luggage.
LA, Honolulu. Everything has its own little bag, and it gets put together fairly quickly. Got double board bags, so I put 2 slalom boards in one bag, 2 wave boards in one bag. Got a bag for my race board, and bag for my booms, bags for my masts. It's just fairly quick and clean.
Back to Honolulu and the Hawaiian surf, where after each World Cup season, various wave contests are held. like, for example, the OP Wave Classic at Diamond Head near Honolulu on Oahu. This type of competition was invented here on Hawaii because most local windsurfers weren't as much interested in speed as in wave riding and jumping.
Well, usually when we have a wave riding contest here, it's real wave riding. In the World Cup, it's usually sailing around in the shore break, running away from whitewater, or jumping or jump jibes. There's not much wave riding involved, where here, the majority of the points is scored on wave riding, and it's real surfing most of the time. Pretty different. Competing against different guys. A lot of locals that don't do anything else.
These typical Hawaiian contests differ a lot from the World Cup, but Naish manages very well to adjust to that.
If you took the people that sail in Hawaii and tried to put them in a World Cup wave riding, most of them wouldn't do all that well because the equipment's not right, their training isn't right. It's very difficult to perform under the conditions we're given at most of the World Cup places. It's just a different type of wave riding. It's not down the line like Hokipa or Diamond Head, which in a sense is easier, but much more spectacular. I try to sail as many different directions as possible and as many different waves as possible so that when I go to a spot and try to get used to the conditions, I don't have such a hard time. I can adapt more quickly. Racing's fun. You can't race all the time. It gets boring. You get tired of it. You don't get as tired of wave riding. You don't need anybody else. You're competing basically against yourself, even when you're competing. You're not actually, testing yourself against other people. If you perform well, it's likely that you're going to beat the other guy. So you're just trying to do as best you can for yourself with the waves and so on. And hopefully you do better than the other guy. But it's not a direct competition the way slalom or course racing is.
Riding a big ocean swell is probably the most exciting feeling a windsurfer can get. However, before one gets to shred a wave the way Naish does takes a lot of practice. But fortunately, everybody can experience the same thrill on his or her own performance level.
So you can ride a wave. All you do is you sail in towards the beach and you get on a wave and you go straight. Depends what you want to do on the wave, really. And the more you want to do on the wave and the more critical part of the wave you want to ride on, the more it entails and the more difficult it is. And the number one thing in everything in windsurfing and almost any sport is practice. The more time you put into wave riding, the better you're going to be. And then secondly comes into play equipment. You have to have good equipment to be able to perform at 100%. I could go out on junk equipment and do okay, but I could never sail as well as I could sail on my good equipment.
Naish is himself very much involved in the development of his equipment. Naish's sponsor, Chastra, is one of the world's biggest sailmakers, and in their Hawaiian establishment, Robby very regularly discusses new sails and sail problems with a sailmaker.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, Robby.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
What's up? I used to sail on whatever was given to me. Gaster gave me sails, Mistral gave me sails and equipment. My dad made me boards, and I went out and sailed them. And it slowly progressed to the point where everything is a group effort. And I'm very much involved both in the sail design and in the board design. Actually all the way up to the fin design and the booms, the masts we're using, everything. Because it's a package now. And you have to have everything designed to fit.
Okay.
Harold Iggy builds wave boards for Naish, and this too is very much a team effort because a really good board design can only be the fruit of cooperation between sailor and manufacturer.
Those are minus 12 and a quarter. I have them laid up next to each other, the new one and the old one. Look at them, and for sure the old one has more ground in here, more water up here.
Yeah, because the other one goes like this. My job is trying to incorporate his kind of ideas, his surfing style, and his things that he like in a board, and try to make it.
But then, of course, the most important thing is still sailing this equipment under various conditions to find out if it really works and if it can be further improved. Therefore, Naish sails in many different spots all over the world, but also back home in Hawaii, he doesn't stick to one place. So let's follow Robby to some of his favorite spots on the island of Oahu. Naturally, he very often trains in his own backyard. Kailua Beach, where the conditions are pretty much the same as in many European World Cup locations, except for the warm sun, of course. Another beautiful and world-famous windsurf spot is Diamond Head, near Honolulu. Diamond Head is the most famous landmark of the islands. Naish sails Diamond Head every so often because it's a perfect place to train under port tack conditions, which also prevail in many of the European World Cup locations. On the surf-beaten north shore of Oahu, we find many notorious surf spots, like, for example, Backyards. Backyards has some of the biggest waves in the world. The biggest swells arrive in winter, the highest ones being more than 10 meters. These steep, fast, and hollow waves will get anyone's adrenaline going, whether you're out there like Naish or just watching. In the winter of '86, Naish conquered the holy temple of regular surfing with a windsurfer. The place was Pipeline, a name that arouses feelings of extreme excitement and extreme fear among every regular surfer. Pipeline is probably the most famous surf spot in the world because of its incredibly smooth, steep surf. Normally, there isn't much wind in this surf mecca, but one winter day there was, and Naish happened to notice it.
Last winter was terrible. We had just no wind. And I went out to Ehukai Beach Park, which is right next to Pipeline. I sailed there. It was slightly onshore, and I sailed Pipeline, but it was messy. big and messy. And the next west wind day, I just said, I'm going back out there. And so I drove off, didn't tell anyone. I saw Yuri Ferrant driving on the road going the other way at the North Shore. So I told him, you know, come. We went and looked at it. It was perfect. So I went out and sailed for about an hour before the wind died.
Yuri Ferrant, a very experienced in-water cameraman, was a witness of Robby's breathtaking pipeline adventure.
Well, we got out there at Pipeline. It was such a rare situation. It's maybe for the wind and the waves to be the same like they were this day, it might be another 5 years, because normally the winds are in the complete opposite direction. So when I saw this happening, I saw Robby and Haleiwa, and then we went out, and he went out, and so it's a real, I knew it wasn't going to last long. And it's not like you have a setup, oh, we'll do this and do that. You have to have all your equipment ready and running and get everything that you can as quick as you can, because you just don't have very much time.
Yuri Ferrant normally shoots from the water, but that day at Pipeline, the waves were just too big to go out and swim with a camera. So Yuri Ferrant stayed ashore and mounted his biggest telelens to record Robby's grand day at the pipe. Yuri Ferrant has very often worked together with Robby Naish and has obviously enjoyed it.
Robby is incredible to work with. He's such a professional. He makes my job a whole lot easier, because he knows, he's done so much shooting. He knows what a photographer is looking for. Sometimes he'll just come up to you and say, well, what lens are you using, or what are you looking for? And then he knows relatively how far away he has to be, what kind of action that you need for, you know, whatever the job is that you're doing. In that case, he's a total professional. Once in a while, he'll come close just to try and scare me, though. But I feel fairly comfortable with Robby. It's some of the other people that are less experienced that gets a little scary.
Fear is an important part of windsurfing.
And when you're sailing around him, you have a false sense of security. You know, you got your sail, you got your board, you're fast and you're safe, and you can get away from the waves when you want to. And then you fall, and your board is gone, and you're swimming in the same waves. And suddenly you realize how big they are and how small you are. If you know how to hold your breath, you're not going to die, even if it's a 20-meter wave. As long as you can hold your breath and get rolled around in the water, it's okay.
Of course, Naish too is afraid sometimes when the waves are really mean, but the right amount of fear can give you just that extra edge, so long as the fear is controlled.
Your fear is the only thing that's going to kill you, unless you hit your head on your board or the bottom or something. And as long as you accept rolling around underwater and having to hold your breath for 30 seconds, it's okay.
Being a professional windsurfer also means going on various worldwide promotional tours, like visiting a water sports exposition in Düsseldorf, Germany, where Naish is besieged by autograph hunters. And information about the latest sail technology.
The sails that the team has to use has to be a little more all-around, better for onshore, sideshore, anything.
And of course, answer a lot of questions from a great many people.
Er ist dieses Jahr zum 10. Mal Weltmeister geworden, in allen hintereinander. Noch nie verloren. Ich habe ihn gefragt, ob es eigentlich immer noch Spaß macht, Regatten zu fahren.
Yeah, it's still fun. Luckily, the sport has changed a lot since 1976 in the material, in the type of sailing that we're doing. And so that's kept it interesting. If the sport had stayed the same all this time, I'm sure I would have been bored by now. But luckily, with all these changes, it's still...
From Germany to Omaezaki, Japan, where the 1986 World Cup season started, gale force winds swept the beach and caused a very rough surf, so that a helicopter was needed to set out the marks. These extreme conditions provided for breathtaking heats in the slalom, and in the finals, Naish immediately took the lead as he shot off his board across the furious white-capped water. But fate struck as he crashed in the wild surf and wrecked his equipment, and he was really very angry about that.
Get mad, for sure, but it's the only way to, the way I feel, as long as I continue getting mad when I lose, then I must be doing okay. Once you start to accept losing, then
Although the gale force winds created a real sandstorm on the boulevard, still thousands of spectators came to Omaezaki to watch Naish really get ripping in the wave performance. In the final heat, Naish is going to encounter fellow Hawaiian Alex Aguirre. Both professionals have often met in wave performance finals and therefore know each other well. It was a close heat, but Naish was awesome, and the jury was unanimous. Naish is still clearly on top. So Naish started his 4th World Cup season with yet another victory. Next stop of the World Cup season, La Torche, France, where traditionally thousands of spectators drove 600 kilometers from Paris to this remote westerly point of Brittany to watch the stars in action. But again, the wind was absent for some days, so that the spectators had to kill the time by nosing about. Then suddenly, an Atlantic gale struck with full force, sweeping up more than mast-high waves, making the wave performance very spectacular. Naish was really the only one who went to the limit, as he picked out the meanest waves to ride in his own aggressive style, ripping the vicious surf of La Torche as if it were a playground. Naish showed the public many spectacular jumps, but in the final, he broke all records. Just fasten your seatbelts and watch this.
Mehr oder weniger parallel zum Ufer hin und her fahren und es hat noch keine spektakulären Manöver gegeben.
Sylt, West Germany, the next stop of the World Cup circuit, where again many spectators and television stations showed great interest in high-performance windsurfing. And of course that means Naish ripping the surf in an always recognizable style. Naish is probably the only Hawaiian who really adapts to European conditions, like onshore winds and choppy waves, which shows his fully professional attitude. Before the finals in the Netherlands, Naish and all his team members pay a visit to the Dutch Gasteren Sailloft, where they are informed about the latest developments in sail production technology. Like, for example, the laser cutter, a high-tech piece of machinery which cuts all sails identically after a computer-aided design to assure that the sails that are developed by the team are also the sails that the customer gets in the shop.
The R&D team has grown substantially. They listen to what we have to say. You know, the new sails in the line are developed very, very much around what the team has developed through the World Cup.
Robby and his teammates are always working on further improvements because in windsurfing, standing still is really running backwards.
The way it works is we go in, we take an existing sail and we say, well, let's change this and this and this and try it. That's what we do. Or we'll have someone else in Gasteren making something completely different. He sends it over and says, try this. And then every so often we get all these different sails together and test them, try them against each other, see which one's faster and so on. But it's a long process because the differences we're testing these days are so small.
Here, at the 1986 World Cup Finals, Naish goes for it all the way yet again. He's still completely fired up, even after competing for so many years.
Luckily, our sport is different than most. Team sports, for example, can't be fun for very long. You know, it gets boring. Tennis, almost all sports don't have as many variables involved. One tennis court is like every other tennis court, and every tennis ball is the same. You know, where windsurfing is changing all the time. The equipment's changing, the people are changing, the conditions are different every time you go out, and we're learning a lot still. You know, it seems endless. It's slowing down anyway, but it's still very, very exciting.
A gale force wind, mast-high waves and icy temperatures can't stop this exterminator from Hawaii as he wins heat after heat in a hair-raising slalom that went on until after dark. So again, for the fourth time, Naish wins the World Cup and thus the most coveted title in windsurfing, World Champion of the Professionals. Back home, first thing he does is go out and sail in his backyard, Kailua Bay. After a strenuous World Cup season, which kept him away from his beloved Hawaii for 9 out of 12 months, Naish is really happy to be back and relax. Now, for a few months, he can finally windsurf just for fun, and anytime he likes. And where most people would have had more than enough of it after a World Cup season, Naish just can't. Again, he stays on the water for hours on end, whenever the trade winds blow.
When it's windy, I sail every day, at least an hour a day, usually more. I've been trying to spend a lot more time with my daughter, Nani. because she's 4.5 years old now, and I feel I haven't spent as much time with her as, one, as I would have liked to, and two, as I should have. And so I'm spending a lot of time with her, doing a lot with her.
The world's most successful professional windsurfer enjoys a very normal daily routine, like picking up his daughter Nani from school. And as long as Nani is still too small to reach the boom of a windsurfer, she may just as well learn some tennis. Naish got married at the age of 18, but was separated after 5 years.
Just things happen like that in the world today. It's really difficult traveling 9 months out of the year, for one. Being together as young as we were, being gone as much as I was, and expecting to change in the same directions as we grow older was pretty hard. And unfortunately, we didn't really change in the same directions. And it was a little more than we could take. And so my wife decided she needed to get away from me and figure out her own life for a while. And so that's what we're doing. And then we may get back together. We probably won't, but there's always that chance. And so that's the way it is. It's a very, very happy and understanding separation. Just trying to keep things as friendly as possible between us and between Nani, and so it's not bad. It's fine.
Just like life itself, windsurfing can only be improved through a process of falling and getting up again. In fact, stumbling is essential in windsurfing. It's the only way to learn.
Some people don't like to fall. They'll sail around the lake and never fall in. That's fine. It depends what you want to do. I love falling. It's a learning experience.
But there's more to wiping out than a good lesson.
Well, it's fun. You're challenging yourself. And some of the best wipeouts I've ever had have been great. Like going full speed in 35 knots and just wiping out. And that's fun. It just is. But actually, sometimes you even do it for fun. I'll sail along and hit a wave and just jump, let go of everything and go flying and crash. It's just fun sometimes, just to wipe out, just to wipe out.
Windsurfing is constantly progressing, as surfers are always inventing new tricks and maneuvers.
Usually you learn them just playing around. Just going out and messing around. Stumble across them, or see somebody else do it, and then you have to go out and try it, that sort of thing. And that's usually what happens, because I'm not one of the guys that's out there always trying to do new things. I'd rather go out and spend my time doing the things I know how to do and trying to make them better or more consistent. And I wait for other people to invent things, and then I go out and try and learn them as fast as possible.
One of the most daring and difficult maneuvers in windsurfing is the helicopter loop. Naish really has this spectacular jump under control on one tack, but on the other, everything was off.
I went out here to Flat Island the other day, and I must have tried 30. I just practiced and practiced and practiced. I had the right conditions so that I could try it almost every time I went out. And then one time, I did it right, and I felt the right, turn. Just that little difference between making it perfect and not even coming close. And, since then I've probably landed 15 loops in the last 2 days on this tack. And that's the only way that I can do is to go out and just try it and try it and try it until I finally get it right.
The story of Robby Naish is the story of windsurfing, for no one else has played such a decisive role in bringing the sport to its present level. Robby Naish is showing the world how unlimited the sport of windsurfing is. He is indisputably the best windsurfer in the world, master of the wind and king of the waves. Aloha, Robby Naish.